I drove a drunk groom back home the night before his wedding. I never imagined the last person I'd help tonight would be my old high school crush, drunk, in a tuxedo, and set to marry someone else tomorrow. The city thrummed around me as I closed up the bar. Friday nights were usually loud, full of clinking glasses and laughter that spilled out onto the streets. But tonight, the air felt different, charged somehow. Maybe it was the humidity. Maybe it was fate. I turned to take out the trash when I saw him slumped against the wall like a forgotten statue. His tie loosened, eyes half-lidded, legs stretched in front of him in a way that screamed, "I've given up." And then my stomach flipped. Evan. He squinted at me, tilting his head. Liam. God, I hadn't heard him say my name in nearly 10 years. Evan Grayson, the golden boy. The boy every girl wanted, every guy admired, and the one I secretly loved from the shadows. He was the one who made me realize I was gay. And now he was sitting in a drunken heap behind my bar the night before his wedding. I crouched beside him, cautious. "You okay?" He blinked, swaying slightly. "No." There wasn't much emotion in his voice, just exhaustion and the stale smell of whiskey. His blazer was half off one shoulder. His once perfectly styled hair now looked like he'd run a hand through it 50 times too many. "Where's your ride?" I asked. He gestured toward the street vaguely. I walked. "From your bachelor party?" He laughed bitterly. "Yeah." I hesitated. The responsible part of me said, call someone, his fiancée, a cab, anyone. But the rest of me, the part that remembered high school bonfires and his crooked smile, the warmth of sitting beside him in class, that part wanted to keep him here just a little longer. "I live nearby," I said. "You can crash at my place just for tonight." He looked up at me, really looked, and something in his eyes softened. "You always were the nice one." I didn't respond. I just helped him up, arm around his waist. His body was warm, solid. He leaned on me like it was the most natural thing in the world. Back at my apartment, I gave him a bottle of water and helped him out of his shoes. He flopped onto my couch, sighing with relief. "Can't believe you still live here," he murmured. "You remember?" "Of course I do. Your mom used to make those banana pancakes. I came over after school once. Remember?" I did. I remembered everything. He'd smiled at me that day in a way that made my knees weak. "Yeah," I said quietly. "I remember." He sat up a little. "I'm sorry I didn't keep in touch." We all moved on. "Did you?" I paused. His voice was too raw, too honest for small talk. "Yeah." I lied. He chuckled. "You were always terrible at lying." I sat across from him. "Evan, why are you really here?" He looked away. "I don't know." Silence stretched between us, thick and uncertain. He rubbed his face. "It's like I'm watching my life happen to someone else. I should be happy. I have a good job, beautiful fiancée, supportive family." But he met my gaze. "But I keep thinking about you." My heart stuttered. "You used to draw in the margins of your notebook." "I remember that," he said, voice distant. "Little sketches of people. I always wondered if any of them were me." "They all were." "I don't get it," I said quietly. "You're getting married tomorrow. I know you love her." He hesitated. "I want to." That answer hit harder than I expected. He was honest, and maybe that made it worse. "I'm not trying to mess up your life," I said, trying to stand. "You just needed a place to crash." "I didn't come here by accident, Liam." I froze. "I knew you worked near here. I left the bar because I saw your name on the side door. I wanted to see you." His voice cracked on the last word. I slowly sat back down. "I don't know who I am anymore," he whispered. "All my life I've been what people expected. The football guy, the straight-A student, the good boyfriend. And now I'm about to be the perfect husband to someone I'm not sure I'm in love with. I swallowed hard. And what about me? He looked up. You were the only person who saw me. Not the golden boy, just Evan. He fell asleep on my couch. I stayed up all night watching him, heart twisting into knots. I remembered every glance from the past. Every time I thought I saw something behind his eyes, and convinced myself it was just fantasy. Now, I wasn't so sure. The morning sun crawled across the floor like a slow confession. Evan stirred and sat up, groaning. You're still here, he muttered. You passed out. He rubbed his face. God, I'm getting married in 6 hours. Do you want me to call someone? He stared at the floor for a long time. No, you're going through with it. He didn't answer. I stood. You don't have to do this, Evan. Not for your family. Not for anyone. He finally looked at me. What if it's too late? I walked to him slowly. It's only too late if you say, I do, when your heart is somewhere else. He exhaled, broken. You make it sound so simple. It's not simple, it's brave. Our eyes locked. The silence between us wasn't empty. It was full of the years we lost, the words we didn't say, the what-ifs we buried. He touched my hand, just a brush of fingertips, but I felt it like fire. I dreamed about you last night, he said. Oh, you kissed me. I held his gaze. Did I? He nodded slowly. It felt right. The moment hung in the air. I could feel the weight of it on my chest, pressing, begging to be acknowledged. I never stopped thinking about you, I said, voice barely above a whisper. I think I never started, he replied, and that was my mistake. He leaned in, and I should have stopped him, but I didn't. His lips were soft, uncertain. It wasn't a kiss of lust or heat. It was searching, scared. A man standing on the edge of a cliff, hoping someone would catch him if he fell. I kissed him back, because I would have caught him 1,000 times. But when he pulled away, reality rushed in like cold water. I can't, he said, voice cracking. Not yet. I know. He stood and paced. She's not a bad person. She deserves someone who loves her fully, not someone torn between past and future. You're not torn, I said gently. You're just scared. He looked at me. What do I do? Be honest with her. With yourself. He left just after noon. No promises, no declarations, just a long look at me, full of things neither of us knew how to say. That evening, I sat by the window trying to distract myself. The sun dipped low, the sky turned gold, and then my phone buzzed. Text from Evan. I told her the truth. She cried, but she understood. I don't know what happens next, but I'm outside your door. I opened it. There he stood. No tux, no bow tie, just Evan real, vulnerable, mine. I don't have a plan, he said. You don't need one. He stepped in, and for the first time in years, I felt something like hope. We didn't need the perfect story, just an honest one. And this was just the beginning. Evan stood at my door like a man who had torn down the life he built brick by brick, and wasn't sure if he'd be welcomed inside mine. I'm sorry, he said, voice gravel soft. I didn't ask what for. I just stepped aside and let him in. He walked in slowly, as if afraid the floor might give way beneath him. Maybe it already had. His hair was still a mess from the day before. He wore a grey hoodie and jeans, not his usual pressed look. His eyes were swollen from lack of sleep, or maybe tears. I offered him coffee. He nodded. The silence wasn't awkward. It was sacred. I handed him a mug and sat across from him on the couch, where he'd passed out the night before. He cradled the cup in his hands like it held more than caffeine, like it held answers. I told her, he finally said, everything. That I wasn't sure I could give her the love she deserved, that I kissed you. My chest tightened. How did she take it? She cried, but she didn't yell, just asked if I was in love with you. And what did you say? He looked up at me with eyes like thunderclouds ready to break. I said, I don't know yet, but I want to find out. It wasn't the fairy tale moment some people would expect. There were no fireworks, no grand declarations, just truth, raw and uncertain. And honestly, that felt better than any fantasy. Is she okay? I asked. She went to her sister's, said she needed space, told me to be happy, whatever that means. And do you know what that means? I asked. He stared at me like I was a riddle. I think it starts here, with you. Over the next few days, we took it slow. We walked through the park like old friends, shared takeout containers, and watched terrible movies on my tiny couch. He told me stories from college, how he almost flunked calculus, how he spent 3 months thinking he had to marry a woman to prove something, how even when he kissed her, his mind drifted somewhere else. Somewhere? I asked, raising an eyebrow. He looked at me with a shy grin. Someone. It felt like falling in love again, except this time, I wasn't alone. But nothing stays in a bubble. By the weekend, people started asking questions. His parents, friends, mutual acquaintances. He got quiet again, distant. One night, we sat on my balcony, a blanket wrapped around us both, knees touching. You don't regret not marrying her? I asked gently. I regret hurting her, but I don't regret not lying anymore. He paused, then added, the first time I kissed you, something cracked open in me, and once it did, I couldn't shut it again. I studied his profile in the dim light. He looked tired, not just physically, but the kind of tired that comes from years of pretending. You don't have to be perfect here, I said. Not for me. He glanced at me. You sure you want this mess? I've wanted you for years, Evan, even when you didn't know who you were. His eyes shimmered, but he laughed. God, you always knew how to hit me right in the chest. Eventually, he moved in. Not officially, not with boxes and contracts, but in the way toothbrushes started appearing in my bathroom, in the way he left his jacket on the back of my chair, in the way my fridge always had 2 types of milk. We were learning each other again, slowly, carefully. He had scars I hadn't seen, and I had walls I didn't know I'd built, until he began knocking gently against them. One night, a few months later, we went out to a bar. Not mine. Just a small, quiet one with soft lighting and jazz in the background. It wasn't a big crowd, but it was enough that when he took my hand across the table, I froze. You okay? He asked. Are you sure? His grip tightened. I want people to know. I want them to know you're the one I chose. And just like that, I wasn't afraid anymore. When we got home that night, he pulled me into the living room and held me close. I used to dream about this, he whispered, about what it would feel like to just be with you, without hiding. And he smiled. It's better than I imagined. 1 year later, Evan stood in the same spot he had when he first knocked on my door that morning after walking away from his wedding. But this time, he wasn't broken. He was holding a key. I sold the house, he said. The one we never really lived in. I want to make a new home with you. I opened the door, and just like before, I let him in. But this time, I knew he wasn't leaving again. So if you made it all the way here, thank you for staying till the end. And remember, love doesn't need perfection, just truth.